Right, it's time to look at the papers this morning. Let's go through the headlines and know what the stories are this morning, what's jostling for attention. A lot of things going on in the country. We have our regular joining us this morning, social commentator and analyst, Bolauba. Good morning.
Thank you very much for the
Nice to
opportunity.
see you.
Good morning.
It's another
Good to
Friday.
see you.
And God is Friday.
Exactly. All right, let's begin with the New Telegraph. That's our first paper this morning. US, UK to prosecute, place visa ban on Nigerian politicians for instigating violence, undermining elections. How far would this go in mitigating any attempt or any thought or any motive to cause violence or cause any kind of malpractice during the election?
Politicians and some members of their families. I think it's laudable. It's very supportive of democratic experimentation or experience. And if you a Nigerian who wishes that 2019 turns out well, you would want to see this as an extra measure to keep the politicians a bit more circumspect, sober, and not be as desperate as they seemed to historically.
Yeah, but will this move, is it enough to rein in the politicians who seem to be bent on having their way?
I remember in 2014, 2015, when Lady Patience Jonathan made a remark in Port Harcourt that was construed by the opposition to be an incitement of people to lynch members of the opposition. They wrote a letter to the International Criminal Court. And you know what? She became very sober subsequently and even said on one occasion that she would not like to go and be visiting her husband in prison.
Yeah.
My sister, that is enough precedent for me.
All right.
Okay, good.
That's good. I'll beat Saraki silly in senatorial race. Olori Egbe is saying that. And Senate President is saying you are daydreaming. Well, it's political time, so we expect this back and forth thing. Now, here's a question. Why I pulled out of presidential race? ECPN is saying refund our donations. Now, this was really dramatic when we heard that the presidential candidate of the ACPN, Obi Ezekwesili, had withdrawn from the race. One way or the other, INEC is also saying, well, it's too late for you to withdraw from the race.
Elections are governed by rules. And the rules are not only as stated in the Constitution, but as codified in the Electoral Act and as interpreted by the electoral body, the elections management body, in their own guidelines. INEC guidelines states that you can't withdraw from this election later than 45 days to the election. So that's number one. Number two is that Obi Ezekwesili's case shows us all the things that are wrong in the Nigerian polity.
Which
she decided that she wasn't running anymore, but that she would want to be instrumental to a coalition that would defeat the antediluvian politicians, according to her, the old class,
the old order.
The old order, meaning APC, PDP. But members of what used to be a party then came out, the leadership of that party came out, did not only condemn her, but said that they would be supporting the candidature of the oldest candidate. So, look at that.
Exactly. Was this a house divided against itself from the
obviously. Now, beyond that, they've gone to the issue of show us the money.
Yeah, exactly.
People gave you some monies to contest, and we were the one that gave you the platform that made you that relevant for people to donate to you. Wow. So you see a bit of mendicancy, which is typical in the Nigerian political environment. Look, until we have independent candidature, people like Obi will be running into such cul-de-sac because they will be constrained.
All right.
Well, maybe we're moving gradually towards that, hopefully.
This is one of the topics we'll be talking about today. So let's just, National Assembly to pass 27,000 Naira minimum wage bill on Tuesday. Buhari hails senators and reps for accelerated hearing.
Okay,
we've
moving
had
on.
series of deception on the issue of the national minimum wage.
Okay, you know what? This paper, the next paper actually talks about that in bold caption. Labour meets today as bill passes second reading. Private sector accepts 27,000 naira and how we're living on 18,000 naira. That's from the Daily Trust. Okay, so private sector is accepting 27,000 naira.
Private sector had earlier accepted 30,000 naira.
So what has happened?
What has happened?
They're on
What
the
has
same
happened
page
is
with the National Council of State that's recommended 27,000 naira.
What has happened is the lack of good faith of the federal government. It does seem as though the state governments are the cantankerous characters here, but even the federal government is a bit fluid on this. A committee was constituted that sat for 1 year. All parties, including the private sector, labor, federal government, state government, were represented.
And then another technical committee set
up. That committee came to a compromise of 30,000. In wanting to kick the can into the long grass, you set up another technical committee. Even after that, you came and publicly announced that the federal establishments will pay 30,000 naira minimum wage, states will pay 27. And when you're submitting the executive bill, you're submitting 27.
Okay. Tells you where the direction of things from okay. All right. Controversy trails Ezekwesili's withdrawal from presidential race. Why the controversy? She's pulling out. Okay, well, INEC says it's too late. Too late to apologize.
The members of the party said the members of the party said they were planning to expel her anyway.
We'll continue. Kogi Shots MTN
that.
facilities over 120 million naira tax default. Husband divorces wife over decision to vote for Buhari.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
It does happen. Dramatic. It does happen occasionally.
How politics can set families apart?
Politics, sports, very emotional and emotive issues and subjects like that.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Okay, let's move on to the punch.
The final straw that
breaks the camel's back.
Some very fudgy dodgy.
Okay.
Nigeria. Nigeria's 2019 elections. PDP, CUPP hailed UK, US plan to place visa ban on poll riggers and others. Well, we've talked about that. Police ban doctor killed as robbers attacked bank in Osun. Well, that's really a sad situation. INEC rejects Ezekwesili's withdrawal from presidential race. We've talked about that. A fire guts UAC building, others in Lagos. Osun Election Tribunal, INEC closes case without calling witnesses. And Desiani Cash, court convicts INEC officials of money laundering. Okay. And then we have, it's not true that my government is marginalizing Igbos. The President Buhari saying that. And President too weak to lead Nigeria, says PDP. An appeal court holds Onogen's trial at the CCT. We've not seen the last of the Justice Onogen's issue yet.
But I was presumptuous enough last Friday to tell you and tell the viewers that I know that technicalities will win in this matter. You know, we're dealing with some of the best legal brains in this country, and they've chosen the side they want to be on. Although history will judge every one of us, but the best legal brains in this country now, majority of them, have decided to be on the side of technicalities, and I'm not surprised that this case is going to be grounded on a technical
grounds. Okay.
The last one here. Court of Appeal reinstates Duke as SDP presidential candidate. Still much drama with the presidential candidates and
wherever you have a collection of politicians,
you'll see a lot of drama.
You see drama.
All right, to the nation. Southeast to Buhari, give us IGP, Security Council slot. Okay.
There's a reasonable demand in view of the fact that if you really look at the composition of the security architecture, the chieftains of the security architecture of Nigeria, there's no single southeastern person there, because you only have a Yoruba chief of defense staff, you have a South Southerner chief of naval staff, and I don't see anybody from the southeast. And to be honest with ourselves,
Well,
it is absurd. It does not, in any way, shape, or form, define the beauty of the diversity and the intellectual of this country.
well, the president has been campaigning in the southeast, and he actually says that he's been fair to the southeast. President seeks return of APC. Ohaneze adopts Atiku.
Belatedly,
Cultural
organization. Because initially they said they had not adopted
any candidate.
I think it was last Friday.
Yes.
They said, but a week is eternity in politics.
In politics, exactly. Even 24 hours.
Say that again.
Yes.
Saraki, Olori Egbe trade words. Fayose left 155.79 billion naira debt. CBN plans capital control rules. Ahmed Musa loses mom. Sad to hear. He announced that on his Twitter handle.
Saraki encounter, the Saraki encounter in Lorry is very interesting. Up until the son faced the father, in Lorry politics had been very seeded.
Yeah.
But now we've seen a major competition against the dynasty, and we see whether it's going to be Otoge or Otoge in Yoruba, meaning we've had enough, or the Saraki dynasty.
All right.
Continues.
Yeah, there's a picture story here. Residents protesting over the traffic gridlock in Apapa, Lagos.
What is happening between Fadeyi to
all the way to
Alaka and the Apapa Bridge is preposterous. We don't run a society like that.
Yeah.
We are practically defining ourselves in a manner that's saying we're subhumans. These are major issues that have been faced and conquered in many other societies. To allow one of your arterial roads in a mega city of more than 20 million people to be constricted by sheer arrogance, sheer lack of respect for laws, and the government seems to be tepid because the government happens to be from the same party as the federal entity that is giving those characters the arrogance.
Well,
you don't run a society
is it
like
a metaphor for the Nigerian experience? Gridlock.
It's really a sad one.
Governance.
All right, our last paper this morning, Vanguard. Onoge, appeal court halts proceedings at CCT for the government opposes as court fixes General 30 to rule on CJN's appeal.
Thank God only one appeal, only one branch of the appeal court can actually, because at the level of the High Court, you had a festival of injunction.
Yes.
Federal High Court, State High Court, a court of Industrial Court, and I was thinking injunction. Injunction, I ain't the fun again, so.
All right, Bolaba.
To me for junction be injunction.
There you go.
All right, let's just run through the rest here. No election without our candidates. Rivers APC saying that, and 264 million naira Desiani gratification. Court convicts two ex-INEC officials.
Or what? No elections without a candidate?
Well, it seemed to be a threat.
Like
so who would they be fighting on this occasion?
And don't forget that Rivers is already one of the flashpoints.
I guess
that's
they want to take
Naturally.
the issues to court.
always been.
All right,
Okay.
let's leave it here now.
Okay, we gotta go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Abba, thank you so much for coming on the program this
You
morning.
guys will bring me out very early on a Friday morning. You whet my appetite to get me excited, and suddenly you put me out. What about
You know, like they say,
You have done justice to this. You've
like
done
they say,
justice to this.
life is not fair, is it? Okay.
No, he has even done justice to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank
All
you.
right.
Right.